this because once again I was too busy concentrating to be able to talk while I'm playing. And I apologize because my voice is still very raspy. I'm still sick, but I wanted to kind of sift through the chaos here because if you're watching this, and this is a very sloppy opening anyway, so it seems extra chaotic, but to be perfectly honest, this particular 2020 mode is not that bad. Once you get the rhythm of it, and once you are able to pay attention and focus on multiple different things, it actually turns into an experience that is not too terribly complicated because it is predictable. And when you have predictability, it becomes easier and easier through repetition. Now this was difficult because my reaction times were lower because I was sick, but I'm not making any excuses about it.
Right.
I believe that anyone would be able to do this if they had enough focus. So let me just go from top to bottom in terms of the enemies that I'm paying attention to. You may have noticed that I'm saying left and right, and that's just a reinforcement to know where Freddy is, because when he flips back and forth, it's easy to lose track of exactly where he is. I double reinforce this by moving the camera over to the side that he's on, and then I say it in my brain so I don't forget. And I say it every time that he moves so that I notice every time. So then I'm able to respond to his call out on whether he's on the left or the right side. So after that, the second responsibility is Foxy. You have to pay attention to Foxy, and this is a lot like Five Nights at Freddy's 1. You have to know where he is, or you have to keep the camera on him so he doesn't leave his tent. Because when he bangs on your door, much like Five Nights at Freddy's 1, he does drain your power. Now, not as much as the original game. He only drains like 2 to 3%, as far as I know. But it's important to pay attention to him and keep track of him so he doesn't leave his tent much and go bang on your door a whole lot through the whole night. Now, this is difficult because the more you flip up your screen, the more you have to risk looking at Yendo. And Yendo is probably the thing that makes this the most difficult. If Yendo wasn't there, this would be so much easier because Yendo is like a reaction time test. If you flip the screen down and he's there, you have to flip the screen back up. But there's also a small chance, I believe probably like a 30% chance that he's not there. And if your finger is twitchy, you'll flip the screen back up, and that's what I mean by slop. If you see me flipping the screen spastically, it's because like there, right there. It's because I was stuck in a loop of instantly twitching it back up until he appeared, and then I was able to break out of the loop from my own finger. So he drains your oxygen, and he does it quick. So if you're not instant on bringing the screen back up, you're going to lose oxygen, and then you're not going to be able to see anything in the entire game, and then your focus goes off. And this game, or this particular mode, is broken down into 3 different senses. You have to see to be able to know in a little bit, and Bonnet and Yendo is there. You have to be able to listen to know when Freddy's doing his thing, when Bitty Bab's doing his thing, when Dolores doing their thing. And you have to have muscle memory to know where to put your mouse for the cameras and for Bonnet's nose. So there's 3 different things, and if you remove the ability to see, then your whole plan starts to unravel. Not that it's impossible, but it is guesswork at that point. But after that, Yendo is the hard one, and then everything else kind of falls into place. Bonnet is just like, can you put your hand on her nose? It's just kind of following her left. You try to keep your mouse at the same level on the screen every time you turn back. And I think, thankfully, it defaults after you put the camera down, the mouse resets position to Bonnet's nose level, which makes it a lot easier. Then you just have to move to left. Next up is Ballora, and Ballora's easy. Ballora and Bitty Bab kind of fall into the same category. You're just listening. Ballora, you're listening until she gets really close. Bitty Bab, you only need to listen for the metal vent sound that she makes when she's near your door. When you hear that crumpling of aluminum metal, that means that she's very nearby, and you just need to throw down that door until you hear a bang. You got to be careful when you've got a lot of doors down, waiting for bangs until all the bangs clear, and then you can go. And then the next thing that you have to worry about is in part and conjoined with flipping up the screen for Foxy. That's the Electro Bab and the Mini Renas that are messing with your power and your air. So thankfully, and this is where the pattern comes in, they do go in the pattern. You can get them so they sync up at the exact same time, and then you can take care of them both at once, and it makes my life a lot easier because that's one more variable that I don't have to watch out for. It combines 2 things into just one thing, so you're technically only messing with 9 animatronics. After that, everything starts to fall into place. You've got a little bit in the back, and that's a little more muscle memory to move over to the LOL keys. But all this is like a balance of oxygen. Not so much power, because power wasn't too big of an issue because I was able to get through this with a few percentage left. But oxygen, being able to see above all else, was the hardest thing. And towards the end here, you can see it's getting really dark, very hard for me to see. I suppose you could kind of cheat your way around that. You could brighten your monitor really high. You could turn the gamma up really high on your computer, and maybe you could kind of get through that. But I didn't want to do that because it seemed cheap. And so all in all, this makes for a very complicated experience. You have to multitask on a lot of things, but it's not impossible, even though it seems like it might be. There's just a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that you have to pay attention to. And there goes Foxy. But thankfully, I'm already at the end of the road here, and I have officially won it. So thanks for listening.